Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff Mom Never Told You, a production of iHeartRadio.
Yes, and welcome to episode 3 of our very, 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 very long sub-segment of watching Sex and the City.
Yes.
And for Anney, first-time viewings.
Yes.
Are you excited for number 3?
I am excited. Also, Samantha and I are in the same space again, which is exciting, but very close. We're
so close.
But yeah, when I was typing up the description for the first one, which if you've missed it, we're doing, for some happy hours, we're doing a watch along of Sex and the City from the beginning. There's 94 episodes and 2 movies and now a new series. So a lot. Yep.
Yes.
I was like, I can't say mini-series. I don't know what to call this.
I'm just calling it a sub-series and just, because technically it's a sub-series is how we're going to put it. Because we're not doing all the happy hours like this. But
right, exactly.
We've been wanting to, and it's going to grow. Like I said, we wanted to make it bigger and maybe just have like a whole big ordeal. Allow you guys to have an episode where you can watch along with us, even though these are very condensed, us talking about it. But as per usual, I do have some questions.
Okay.
First, it's going to begin with you trying to guess what this episode is about by me giving you a title.
Okay.
Name. So the title is Bay of Married Pigs.
Ooh.
Anney, what do you think is going to happen?
Okay. So we last left off. I've been introduced to Mr. Big. There was a discussion of models. I think Bay of Married Pigs. That's a good title because it's playing on, calling men pigs. Married pigs makes me think there's a dude who's married who's like a jerk and cheating involved in this one. And for some reason, I think Charlotte has to do with that.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Well, there's also a Bay of Pigs, which is a battle. Okay, make sure we're on the same note on this one.
No, thank you. Thank you for this.
Like there's so many things happening.
Yes. But I the history of that, yes, I know. But I was just thinking that's a good play on that.
True story.
Yes. I love a good word play.
Word pun play.
Yes, it's my favorite.
I like it. All right, so we are going to jump in with your predictions. I don't think there's a new major characters that's going to be introduced, so we're not going to do that one for today. But I'm pretty sure I did mention this episode for something that we talked about as many times as I've brought up Sex and the City. I'm pretty sure this is one of those episodes. So,
okay.
All right, are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Here we go.
Okay.
Morning.
Hello, shot of a naked butt.
Muffins. Should be right back.
With the Will Forte look-alike.
Yes.
Full frontal friend.
Full frontal friend.
Good.
I don't think I would ever want to know that title for a friend.
No.
Happy, hanging out. I didn't know what to do.
See, this is a plot I've seen in sitcoms too.
Right? And it's like, hey,
Peter before coffee.
getting a full frontal picture of a guy,
Hey.
sexual harassment,
Yes.
and assault. Don't like it.
Exhibitionism, not good.
Face it, ladies, if you're still single, you are not to be trusted.
Come on, not all married women feel that way.
So again, we're kind of back to the women against women situation.
Right.
And except this time it's not models, it's married women versus single women.
Yes.
But if we could talk about the fact that we did talk about that we are very limited in how many married male friends and how those relationships look as single women.
Yes.
So there is something to be said to that. Is it this that they think that we want to have sex with their husbands? I don't know about that.
What?
Well, Lou and I are interested in having a child. We already have a surrogate, but we need a top.
Wow. They're talking out surrogates. So they're touching on a lot of things we've talked about. I see why you bring it up all the time.
it's just because they think that you're in a couple.
I know it. I've been with a friend for 2 years. He's barely even spoken to me. All of a sudden, it's Chip.
So there actually has been some research about this, about being single at work.
Yeah.
But what I'm more familiar with is it means that a lot of times single people will get asked to stay later.
Right.
And come earlier because it's assumed they have no life.
Right. Less family.
Exactly.
Which was the while you were sleeping trope.
Oh, we haven't watched that yet, but I know that's one of your holiday films, yes?
It's December. Let's do this.
But I think there's been some research too that people who get married are seen as more trustworthy, that they can hold something down.
Perhaps.
Perhaps.
Hey, Sean! Hey! What a surprise! This is our friend Carrie.
Hi.
I was for a while going to a bunch of a good friend of mine broke up, and he was getting invited to these parties with kind of friends that they were sharing, and I would go as his kind of like date, not date, because he didn't want to go alone.
Right. I will say I did have a good guy friend of mine, and he and I would do things together, and we would be lumped in together.
Right.
Kind of how you and I are now for work things for sure.
Yeah.
But then like he started dating somebody, and so I got excluded completely, and he got invited with his girlfriend. I was like, well,
wow.
damn.
Yeah.
Yes. Have you ever had a surprise fix up? Like you didn't know you were being fixed up?
Yes.
What happened?
It was incredibly awkward because it became very clear, like I would say within 2 or 3 minutes, because they were telling me like, oh, he's so amazing. Here's his life. It's so cool. And like telling me all these facts, and he was right there. And then they were like, and she's so good because she did this. And I was like, we're not talking to each other. You're just talking about us to each other. It was incredibly awkward. And then it started to pour rain. And I refused to go up because I'm just a strange person. And he refused to go up and get undercover as well. And he like held his coat over my head. And I was like, oh no.
That's so awkward.
We made it worse.
I definitely had tried to be set up one time that I knew of. Like they would never tell me. But the one time was when I actually had a boyfriend and he was there.
Oh no.
And he was there and the girl knew it, but she still wanted to try to set me up with a friend and like was telling Caroline, who was actually present, who was sitting next to my then boyfriend, and was like, that girl's telling her, I'm so excited for Samantha to meet this person.
Right.
And Caroline looks at her, looks down at the guy and looks back at her and goes, this is Sam's boyfriend. And the awkwardness, she was like, oh, and walked off. So that was the only time that I actually knew about.
Ooh, that's rough.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Sure. Oh, this is Samantha. Samantha, this is Elaine.
His wife.
I don't know. I don't think I'm very protective of my partner.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, we're watching Sam trying to just talk to someone about advice. Wife comes up very defensively.
Mm-hmm.
Pulls him away. That's not I think I would do. I think I would just laugh and move on.
Yeah. Oh my God, look at that computer.
Yes.
I'm sorry. It's a huge computer, you guys.
With the tiniest screen.
Yeah.
But the speakers are big on the side.
Yes. I was thinking about this the other day when I said I'm not jealous, and I was like, I want to unpack that statement. But my ex, who had a very jealous ex before me, once he was like, my ex-girlfriend's in town, I'm going to hang out with her. So sorry. And I was like, why? And it like did not occur to me. I was just like, that's fine. He talked about her before. She seemed cool.
Right.
But I think he was weirded out that I wasn't weirded out by it. But I was like, yeah, that's fine. Hang out. You don't have to get, I'm glad you told me, but you don't have to get like my permission or anything.
Right. I mean, yes, you need to tell.
Yeah.
But outside of that, for sure. I will say that again. I don't know like that I'm not jealous. I probably am. I've never been into that. I'm insecure. I think you said that about the throuple happy hour episode. Like, yeah, I'm definitely insecure. So in my head, you found something better.
Yeah.
Or you like something better.
Right.
Not necessarily that I'm jealous. I don't know if that's interchangeable or not.
Right.
But as long as communications are open, I typically don't care. I think my partner's pretty good about that because I've literally been hit on in front of him.
Yes.
You were there.
I was there.
We were all like, what is happening? And he just started laughing. He goes, I guess I don't exist. And I'm like, I don't understand.
Meanwhile, across town, things are winding down.
Thank you so much. We really had a great time.
Oh, as did we all. She is a real find.
Oh.
We'll do it again soon.
I'm not going to lie. So when I see this plot line, which Miranda brings the woman as her date,
Yes.
after already saying she's not a lesbian, and she pretends like they are couples, and then she lets the firm know we're not actually a couple, and that she's not a lesbian, but in real life, she actually is a lesbian.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know why that just makes me giggle a little bit.
Right.
At that point in time, I think she was married to a man, and she hadn't met her wife at that point. But still, like, I'm like, that's not true.
Yeah.
Yep. Definitely straight.
Yeah. You are.
But she's not straight.
Sorry.
While Miranda
I was thinking about this the other day, and I want to do an episode on this. I don't know if this is common, but I went through like a phase where like all of my girlfriends kissed. Like I've kissed a lot of women, and it was just kind of a thing. Like we were like, okay, let's just try it.
So the only time that really happened to me was when I was a nanny, and I would hang out with the mom and all of her friends. And in her friend group was like this one woman who just loved kissing women, just went around, did this. I was very uncomfortable, not just because I'm not necessarily a lesbian, but more so that I wasn't kissing anybody. Like I was very like not touchy-feely, whatever. And so when she would do that, I would literally lean away, and they got offended. She's like, "They were just kissing." And I'm like, "But I don't want to kiss you.
Right.
I don't know anything about you. Why would I kiss you?" And they seemed really offended by this, but they're like, "Come on." I'm like, "No, thank you."
Yeah. Yeah. Always consent. And it does kind of squick me out because I feel like for a woman, if you say you're bisexual or lesbian, then suddenly like you're willing to kiss any woman ever.
Right.
Which is kind of what happened here. And it's not the case at all.
Right.
There's a poster for Godzilla 1998.
Yes, girl.
Was Sarah Jessica Parker married to him at this point?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They were together for a very long time. I'd never noticed that. Good catch.
You know I'm always on the lookout for Godzilla 1998.
Well, who knew? Not me. Okay, so Annie, Charlotte did have something to do with this.
I mean, it was very vague
not
thought,
to
but
the level that you thought. It wasn't necessarily about men being pigs, though.
yes, not necessarily.
Which is kind of why I was like, it's not exactly what you think. It's more like the battle more so than.
Mhm.
And it's women against women, singles versus non-singles type of situation.
Mhm.
So, I'll give you half a point.
I feel like I'm always going to get half a point.
Yeah. Overall, so not as bad. Of course, again, not a fan of women versus women.
Yeah.
But there is this big conversation of what does it look like for married women versus friendships with single women.
Mhm.
And this could be the conversation about people with children.
Yeah.
And single people and what that looks like and how often you can hang out and just by schedules alone and like life plans in general, you automatically become a little more distant because you don't get to do all these things. I will say, so again, one of my good friends, they just had a baby last year, and I probably have seen them more, not because of the baby per se, but because the previous times we were in quarantine, so I just didn't see them.
Right.
So now that I am seeing them a little more, not, of course I want to see the cute little baby, but I get to see them too. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And then also there is that whole level of like the attitude. So when we have the one woman who's like I don't want to be around my single friends. It's just sad.
Right.
Of course you don't want to be around her. Why would you ever
Yeah.
be friends in the first place?
Right.
She sounds like an awful person.
Yeah. And it's interesting to me because, again, I haven't seen this, but I did watch sitcoms in the 90s, and we're still having these conversations now. Like, you and I are still having them. I'm having them with other friends. And I think that's really, really interesting. And then, like, just growing up, I remember, and we've talked about this too, like, I thought I was going to get married and have kids, and that was going to be my life. And I've had friends that did that from my small town, and they seem totally happy with it. But it is, I guess, I feel like in their mind, and this is me projecting, and on these specific people, I don't think I have plenty of friends who are not single that I do not feel like this is how they feel. But in their minds, I feel like they think, well, this is the goal, right? And she's not going for it. Like, it's strange to them or something.
Right.
Because this is their thing and that's what they wanted and they achieved it, and more power to you. But I guess that's from my hometown when I'll show up at things and they're kind of like, you don't have any kids? You're not?
Right. So I think I will say I don't have many friends from my hometown anymore.
Mhm.
That could be a whole big conversation. The ones that I am friends with, they kind of have a similar mindset as I do. So we're okay. Same as like majority of my friends now, I have so many more single friends than most people would have thought, especially at the age of 40. And they are close in age. So it's kind of like, okay, this is interesting. This is a whole new thing. But as well as the fact, I feel like we've gotten really a lot better at finding partners that we all like to hang out with.
Right.
So it doesn't seem like a big deal. I don't know. You tell me, because you hang out with me and my partner a lot. You can tell me now. I won't kick you out.
Until the recording's over.
After the fact. But I mean, like, for the most part, I feel like we're really good at not being that couple of like clingy and making everybody uncomfortable, being odd type of thing. That's just not how we express everything for ourselves. As well as, again, you do a great job in interacting, so I feel like you could do well with any group. I hope I would do too, but my awkwardness is just my awkwardness in general. So it's not just with couples, it's with everybody. Congratulations. But like, I don't know, maybe with that changing, as well as the changing of what relationships are and types of relationships and being more open about it, I feel like it's gotten so much better to be single today than what it had been like 10 years ago.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think obviously there are still hangups around it, but I definitely think, and we've seen, articles and reporting on it of, like, people are delaying marriage and they're delaying having kids and all this stuff. So I think when we compare it to this, where they're sort of the outliers at their age being single, I also have a lot more single friends.
Right.
And I do think that I can hang out with people who are in couples and it's not so like, why is she here? She's single. Like, I don't really get that vibe that often.
Weird trope of like being the third or fifth wheel.
Yeah.
I will say I've definitely had friends who really liked couple groups, and it really threw me off. And it was so awkward to me. I'm like, really? Now? And maybe it's because we did weed out those people for myself, per se. Like, that was kind of like that. I'm like, I'm good. I'll find another crew, which still hard. Making friends as an adult is fairly hard. Yeah. But like being able to know whether or not you mesh well and versus like whether or not like, oh yeah, your ideals are so far from mine. This is going to be a disaster. Let's just go ahead and nip this in the bud type of conversation. Maybe I'm just too elitist. I don't know.
Well, that's interesting because my not so great explanation of how I've grown up thinking about the Hamptons in this one specific way. That actually is a piece of this, though, is I feel like a lot of times, historically, people get married, have kids, move away from the city.
Right.
And it sounds so like, I don't know, like you don't care. But that hour-plus commute, maybe, is not easy for either party, especially if you've got kids involved. And so it's usually the single person. Well, in my specific instances, I'm thinking of, it's the single person going out to hang out with you. Yeah. And it just, the time and the distance, and you kind of slowly grow apart, I think.
It does.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it's a war or a battle.
No.
It doesn't mean that. And I think we've come a long way
Yes, I agree.
in that. And I hope we continue to keep that progress, because whether or not you do have children or not, and I've gotten a lot of good friends who do have kids who do really well in being adults.
Yeah.
And having adult friends.
Being adults.
That's a weird conversation. But instead of being caught up being like just the parent and that's it, they're like, you know what? Yes, we love our child. We're going to take them with us and just have adventures with them. And it's really fun. And those kids get to see a whole new perspective instead of just being, coddled to the whole time, which is not a bad thing. I'm not a parent. So not saying that's a bad thing at all. You do what you need to.
I have a lot of friends who have kids, and I've actually hung out with their kids, and I love their kids.
Right.
So, yes, it's not a war, but it clearly still sparking some conversation to this day. So that is our third of many in this sub segment of our Sex and the City watch party. We hope that you are enjoying them and, watching along maybe. Love to hear your thoughts, because this is going to be I think it's going to be a fun adventure for all.
It's only growing.
It's only growing. In the meantime, you can email us at stuffmediamomstuff@iheartmedia.com. You can find us on Instagram at Stuff I Never Told You or on Twitter at momstuffpodcast. Thanks as always to our super producer, Christina.
Thank you.
And thanks to you for listening. Stuff I Never Told You is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.